There's a quiet kind of power that's becoming rare in today's world, a power not of noise, but of subtraction. Every day, we carry more than we need. Old grudges. Useless habits. Digital clutter. Toxic ties. Mental noise that eats at our peace. And still, we pile on more, chasing validation, chasing relevance, chasing things we never even chose. But what if your strength wasn't in how much you could carry, but in how much you could let go? The Stoics understood this. True freedom, they believed, is achieved not by gaining, but by removing. Epictetus once said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. That's not just minimalism, it's strategy. It's survival. Letting go doesn't require a grand declaration. No drama. No public unfollowings. Just action. Just silence. Just freedom. To explain this, I want to tell you a story. Receive a story, Helena the fisherwoman. Helena was a fisherwoman known for her skill and independence. Each morning, she took her small boat out to sea, packed with nets, tools, and everything she thought she needed to conquer the day. Over time, she added more, extra weights, emergency supplies, even things she hadn't used in years, just in case. Then one day, a storm hit. Waves crashed, winds howled, and her overloaded boat began to sink. Frantically, Helena realized the truth: it wasn't the storm that would drown her. It was the weight she refused to release. With trembling hands, she began tossing things overboard. Heavy crates. Rusted anchors. Broken tools she once swore she needed. The boat rose. It didn't matter how strong the storm was, what mattered was how light she became. That's the moral: in life's storms, survival isn't about holding on. It's about having the courage to let go, silently, without apology. Chapter 1: Fear of other people's opinions. There's a kind of invisible chain that binds most people tighter than any physical restraint: the fear of what others might think. You dress a certain way not because it feels right, but because it's acceptable. You hold back ideas in meetings because they might sound stupid. You stay silent in moments when your soul screams to speak, all because someone, somewhere, might not approve. That's not living. That's performing. And the Stoics didn't perform. Seneca wrote, "What is the point of having countless books and countless knowledge, if we don't have courage to live with clarity and purpose?" The fear of judgment was, for the Stoics, a form of self-imprisonment. You become a slave, not to a tyrant, but to an audience that doesn't even care. Here's a reality check: most people aren't thinking about you at all. Their minds are drowning in their own insecurities, anxieties, and self-concern. And if they are thinking about you, their thoughts are fleeting, gone as quickly as they came. Yet you make life decisions based on their approval. Why? Because approval feels like safety. But it's a false safety. Today they love you, tomorrow they forget you. If your peace depends on how others perceive you, then peace will forever be out of reach. Let me take this deeper. Living for external validation is not just exhausting, it's a betrayal. A betrayal of your values. Your dreams. Your essence. You begin to drift, subtly, day by day, from your authentic self. You become a copy of what the world demands, instead of a creation of your own choosing. The Stoics offered a different path: radical self-reliance. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, it is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. And interpretations, more often than not, are soaked in fear of others' opinions. CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, takes this idea and gives it structure. One core technique is called thought disputation. When a negative belief arises, like, "they'll think I'm weak if I say this," you challenge it. You ask, what evidence do I have for this thought? What's the worst that can realistically happen? Even if they disapprove, so what? This is where Stoic practice becomes real. It's not about being indifferent. It's about choosing what you allow to influence you. Here's a practical exercise. Every time you notice yourself filtering your words or actions for others' approval, pause. Breathe. And ask. If I were the only person watching, what would I do differently? That's your truth. That's your compass. And that's how you begin to remove, quietly, without noise, the weight of opinions that never belonged to you in the first place. Chapter 2, Toxic Relationships. Some relationships don't break you with violence. They break you with fatigue. The friend who drains your energy with constant drama. The coworker who subtly undermines your confidence. The family member who manipulates with guilt, then calls it love. These connections aren't always loud or explosive, but they're corrosive. Day by day, they wear down your peace. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." That's the Stoic filter. If a relationship doesn't contribute to your virtue or peace, it may not deserve your presence. Now here's the hard part. Not all toxic relationships come with warning signs. Sometimes they're disguised as loyalty. Or tradition. Or responsibility. You hear things like, "But we've been friends for years. They're still family." It's not always bad. These are the lies we tell ourselves to avoid the harder truth: letting go is necessary. Let me be clear, Stoicism is not about cruelty or coldness. It's about boundaries. And boundaries are an act of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, guarded his mind against the chaos of others. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Toxic people are outside events. Their manipulation. Outside. Their judgments. Outside. Their chaos. Outside. What's inside is your response. And sometimes, the wisest response is silent removal. Modern psychology backs this up. The concept of emotional vampires, people who drain your psychological energy, is well established in therapy. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your emotional bandwidth. You owe yourself peace. Here's a quiet strategy. Don't fight. Don't argue. Don't explain. Simply disengage. Bit by bit. Call less. Reply less. Withdraw your energy. You don't need a public goodbye. Just a personal decision. If guilt arises, remember this. You are not abandoning them. You are choosing not to abandon yourself. Ask yourself, does this relationship inspire my best self or suppress it? Do I leave this person feeling whole or hollow? Then decide, with clarity, and without noise. Chapter 3, Self-Destructive Habits. You don't need to be attacked to be destroyed. Sometimes, you do it to yourself, one small choice at a time. Waking up and grabbing your phone before your thoughts are even your own. Skipping the gym again, just for today. Pouring another coffee, not for energy, but to mask exhaustion. Binging content late at night because you're avoiding silence. These aren't acts of laziness. They're unconscious rituals of self-sabotage. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The habits you repeat shape the identity you embody. And if those habits are misaligned with who you want to become, they slowly erase that future version of you, until nothing is left but excuses. The Stoics didn't wait for breakdowns to make changes. They practiced daily self-scrutiny. In fact, Seneca described the exercise of reviewing each day before sleep. I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I pass nothing by. Now ask yourself, what are the small, silent acts of destruction hiding in your day? Maybe it's the constant scroll that hijacks your attention. Maybe it's the harmless snack that's actually self-soothing for stress. Maybe it's the habit of saying, "I'll do it tomorrow," knowing full well tomorrow is a lie you keep buying. Modern behavioral science aligns perfectly with this Stoic insight. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, reminds us that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Tiny, repeated behaviors compound. The direction matters more than the intensity. Here's the solution: replace. Don't just remove. If you silence one habit, you must consciously install another in its place. Remove mindless scrolling, replace it with reading. Remove caffeine dependence, replace it with hydration and breath work. Remove passive entertainment, replace it with physical challenge or creative output. But do it quietly. Not as a New Year's post. Not for external praise. Just for you. For your future. Here's a Stoic challenge. Pick one small habit today. Just one. Eliminate it silently. And watch who you become without it. What will your identity look like when you subtract what sabotages it? Chapter 4: The Need to Control Everything. There's a specific kind of suffering that comes not from reality itself, but from your refusal to accept it. You try to control how others behave. You try to predict the future. You obsess over outcomes, over reactions, over every little detail, because the illusion of control makes you feel safe. But it's a trap. And it's exhausting. The Stoics had a word for what is within your power: prohairesis. It means your judgment, your choices, your responses. Everything else. It's not yours. It never was. Epictetus made it clear. Some things are in our control and others not. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. When you spend your energy trying to manipulate outcomes, micromanage people, or guarantee success, you are fighting reality itself. And reality always wins. Let's get practical. You can't control whether your boss likes you. You can control the quality of your work. You can't control whether your partner stays. You can control how you show up in that relationship. You can't control whether your business succeeds. You can control your discipline, your strategy, and your resilience. What Stoicism offers is a radical shift in focus, from outcome orientation to process mastery. Modern psychology mirrors this. Acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, teaches that trying to control thoughts and feelings often backfires. Peace comes not from domination, but from alignment, taking action guided by values, not fears. Here's a mindset shift. When something feels out of control, don't tighten your grip. Loosen it. Breathe. Zoom in on the next right action. A practical exercise. Each morning, write down one thing that's stressing you. Then divide the page in two. On the left, write what's outside your control. On the right, what's inside. Then ignore the left side. Completely. Act only on the right. You'll find a strange and liberating truth. You never needed to control everything. You only needed to control yourself. Chapter 5: Unrealistic Expectations. Sometimes it's not the world that's breaking you, it's the expectations you never questioned. Graduate by this age. Own a home by that one. Make 6 figures. Be admired. Be stable. Be everything, all at once. These expectations didn't come from your soul. They were inherited, crafted by culture, by family, by social media. And they're heavy. Crushing, even. Marcus Aurelius warned, ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions. But how many of your goals are actually yours? How many are performances to meet someone else's idea of success? Unrealistic expectations are subtle tyrants. They disguise themselves as motivation, but they actually foster constant disappointment. You hit a goal, and it's not enough. You level up, but someone's already ahead. You achieve what others envy, and feel strangely empty. This is the trap of should. I should be more successful by now. I should feel happier. I should have it all together. Here's what the Stoics would say: replace should with is. This is where I am. This is what I control. This is the next step. That's not surrender. That's power. And modern psychology backs this up. In self-determination theory, researchers explain that true motivation comes not from external rewards or comparisons, but from autonomy, the feeling that your life is self-directed. That you're choosing your goals, not inheriting them. So, how do you eliminate unrealistic expectations? Start by asking, who told me I needed to achieve this? Would I still pursue this if no one ever saw it? Is this aligned with my values, or someone else's script? Then go deeper. Write a list of every goal you're chasing. Cross out anything you wouldn't keep if no one were watching. That's your real path. The rest is noise. The Stoic doesn't chase illusions. He walks with clarity. He doesn't strive for applause. He strives for virtue. He doesn't live for the crowd. He lives for truth. Chapter 6: The Need to Always Be Right. Some battles are too expensive to win. You raise your voice. You sharpen your logic. You double down on your argument, not because you're growing, but because you can't stand to be wrong. It feels like losing. Like weakness. Like giving up control. But here's the truth: needing to always be right is just another form of ego. Seneca put it plainly: it is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. But that doesn't mean conquering others. It means conquering yourself, especially the part that craves being right more than being wise. Let's be real, most arguments aren't about truth. They're about status. You want to be respected. You want to be the one who knew better. But that desire creates tension, distance, and unnecessary conflict. The Stoic doesn't need to win debates. He needs to win inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion." There is never a need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. Here's what that means in practice: you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You can hear someone out without agreeing. You can walk away from conflict without losing your dignity. You can choose peace over pride. Modern psychology confirms this too. In dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, there's a skill called opposite action, doing the opposite of what your ego demands, in order to reclaim emotional control. Instead of proving your point, try listening fully. Instead of defending yourself, ask a question. That's not weakness. That's discipline. Here's a Stoic exercise. Next time you feel the urge to argue, pause and ask: is this worth the cost of my peace? What am I really trying to protect, truth or pride? Then practice the art of the quiet exit. You don't need the last word to live with wisdom. Because the one who can walk away has already won. Chapter 7: Digital Noise. Your attention is under attack. Every notification, every scroll, every ping, it's not just harmless distraction. It's a silent theft. Bit by bit, your mind is fragmented. Your thoughts are hijacked. Your sense of presence is replaced by a shallow, dopamine-driven loop of consumption. And the most dangerous part? You don't even notice it happening. Marcus Aurelius warned, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions, than your own soul. Retreat into yourself. But how do you retreat into yourself when your phone buzzes 247 times a day? You're not addicted to your phone. You're addicted to escape, from discomfort, from boredom, from silence. But it's in that silence that growth begins. And the Stoics knew this deeply. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." Scattering your mind across endless digital spaces robs you of depth. You become reactive instead of intentional. You forget how to think without swiping, how to feel without filtering, how to live without watching others live. Modern neuroscience explains this perfectly. Constant exposure to short-form, high-stimulation content rewires your brain. It shortens attention spans. It reduces your tolerance for stillness. It makes deep work feel impossible. So what's the Stoic response? Control the input. Take back your mind. Here's a practical approach. Unfollow accounts that don't serve your values. Mute notifications that aren't essential. Create no phone zones, during meals, before bed, after waking. Replace passive scrolling with active learning. And most importantly, schedule silence. Not as a reward, but as a requirement. Even 10 minutes a day without noise, without screens, without stimulation, can begin to restore your clarity. Here's a question to carry with you. Are you consuming, or are you being consumed? You don't need to announce it. Just start filtering out the noise. Quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. Chapter 8, Negative Thoughts. Some of the most destructive forces you'll ever face don't come from the outside, they come from your own mind. That quiet voice that says, "You're not enough." The thought that whispers, "You'll fail anyway, so why try?" The mental replay of mistakes, regrets, and imagined disasters. These aren't truths. They're thoughts. And thoughts can lie. Epictetus taught, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. He meant this literally. You're not suffering because of what happened, you're suffering because of what you told yourself about it. But here's the good news, you can change the story. Negative thoughts are like clouds drifting across your mind. They look real, but they're temporary. You don't need to believe them. You don't need to obey them. You don't even need to fight them. Just observe. Question. Detach. Modern psychology has a name for this, cognitive diffusion. It's a technique from acceptance and commitment therapy that teaches you to stop fusing with your thoughts. When a negative thought arises, you don't say, "I'm a failure." You say, "I'm having the thought that I'm a failure." That small shift creates space. Power. Freedom. The Stoics practiced this long before psychology had a name for it. Here's a daily exercise to silence mental sabotage. Each time a negative thought appears, ask. Is this thought useful? Would I speak to a friend this way? What would a wise, calm version of me say instead? Then replace the thought, not with false positivity, but with clarity. From, "I'm not good enough," to, "I'm still learning." From, "This will never work," to, "Let's focus on what I can control." And remember, the goal isn't to never have negative thoughts. The goal is to not let them dictate your life. Imagine your mind as a river. Let the thoughts flow. Just don't build your house on every passing current. You don't need to post about your healing. You don't need to announce your growth. Just let go, quietly, firmly, and keep walking forward. Chapter 9, Physical and Mental Clutter. Chaos doesn't always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it shows up quietly, as a messy desk, a crowded calendar, a closet full of things you haven't touched in years. Clutter isn't just physical. It's psychological. The Stoics believed that clarity of the mind begins with order in your environment. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." And one of the simplest ways to embody clarity, discipline, and peace, is to clean your space. Because a disorganized environment reflects a disorganized inner life. Think about it, how often do you sit down to work, only to be distracted by that stack of papers? How often do you intend to think deeply, but your mind is occupied with a dozen unfinished tasks? Clutter scatters attention. And scattered attention weakens presence. But this isn't about aesthetics. It's about energy management. Every object you own that no longer serves you, every commitment you've made that no longer aligns, drains your energy. Silently. Daily. It's like carrying sandbags you've forgotten are even there. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it. We can add, if it's not useful, don't keep it. Modern science confirms this. Studies show that clutter increases stress hormones like cortisol. In contrast, organized spaces are linked to better focus, clearer thinking, and emotional stability. So how do you apply this? Start with your physical space. Clear one drawer, one shelf, one surface. Ask, do I use this? Do I love this? Does this serve me? Then, move to mental clutter. List your obligations and ask, do these reflect who I am becoming? Cancel one commitment that no longer feels aligned. Forgive one person, or yourself, for something long past due. You don't need a dramatic purge. Just consistent subtraction. Each item you release is a reclaiming of presence. Each thought you let go is a return to clarity. The Stoic doesn't cling. He clears. Not because he doesn't care, but because he does. Chapter 10, Unnecessary Comparisons. Comparison is the thief of joy, and the assassin of peace. You see someone with more followers, more money, more muscles, more success. And suddenly, what you have feels smaller. Worthless, even. But that feeling? It's not truth. It's distortion. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And when your thoughts are tinted by envy, resentment, or inadequacy, your inner world darkens, even if your life, in reality, is rich with blessings. The Stoics didn't compare themselves to others. They compared themselves to yesterday's version of themselves. That was the only standard that mattered. Why? Because comparison to others puts you in a game you can never win. Someone will always be ahead. Someone will always seem happier, more successful, more accomplished. But you're not on their path. You're on yours. And their timeline? Their results? Their rewards? They're irrelevant to your virtue, your choices, your mission. In modern psychology, this is called the social comparison trap. It's been proven to fuel anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. And social media intensifies it, turning every scroll into a silent referendum on your worth. But here's the truth. Most people are not living as well as they appear. And even if they are, it has nothing to do with you. The Stoic mindset says, let others live their lives. I will live mine. Let others chase applause. I will chase alignment. Let others rush. I will walk with purpose. Here's a powerful practice. Each time you feel the sting of comparison, ask, what am I truly lacking, or am I just distracted? What was I proud of 5 minutes ago, before I saw this? How far have I come compared to the man I was last year? Then give thanks, not for perfection, but for progress. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to catch up to anyone. You only need to stay aligned with your own path, with silence, with strength, with clarity. The silent revolution of letting go. You don't need to burn bridges. You don't need to scream your transformation into the world. Real change doesn't make noise, it makes space. The Stoics knew this deeply. Peace isn't found in adding more. It's found in letting go of what no longer serves you. Silently. Intentionally. Powerfully. You've just explored 10 things that silently drain your strength. The fear of others' opinions. Toxic relationships. Self-destructive habits. The illusion of control. Unrealistic expectations. The need to always be right. Digital noise. Negative thoughts. Physical and mental clutter. Unnecessary comparisons. Each one is a weight. And each time you release one, you rise. Like Helena the fisherwoman in the storm, you don't survive by holding on. You survive by letting go. Not with rage. Not with drama. But with calm. with clarity, with courage. Ask yourself now. What am I still carrying that I no longer need? What can I release today, not tomorrow, to take one step closer to inner freedom? You don't owe the world an explanation. You don't need applause to evolve. Your peace is your rebellion. Your silence is your power. Let this be your call to action. Reflect on the list. Choose one thing to eliminate this week. Write it down. Remove it, not to impress, but to heal. Then comment below. What are you letting go of first? Your story may inspire someone else to begin their silent revolution. And if this video sparked something in you, subscribe. Not for entertainment, but to stay aligned with wisdom, with truth, with strength. This is not a quick fix. This is a quiet discipline. And day by day, as you subtract the unnecessary, you'll find what was always waiting beneath the noise. Your true self. Stay strong. Stay silent. Stay free.